you because we have got Scott Bauer here now from Prosper Trading Academy. And Scott, I want to start with what we're seeing in the options market right now. Lots of options traders betting that crude is going to go to $100 a barrel. How likely is it that that's going to happen, and what kind of time frame, if any?
So there's big time upside option skew right now, as you were just talking about, with lots of bets, if you will, lots of volume up towards $100 strike going out to July, September. So we're seeing lots of that. Is it realistic to say we're going to get to 100? You know, the what the market is pricing in, and kind of with the demand destruction that we saw last year out of the picture, and now really being a supply constraint. I wouldn't say it's out of the question. I'd say it's highly unlikely. But remember, a lot of these people that are buying these upside call options, they don't necessarily need to see the price of oil get that high. As long as the price keeps continuing higher and maybe volatility even picks up a little bit, the price of their options are going to increase in value as well.
Well, Scott, I want to talk big picture here. I see some of the big drivers. We were just talking about OPEC Plus, if ever so briefly, but also in the U.S., we got the President Biden administration largely blocking new drilling activity. And so you could say there's a regulatory aspect to this too. What kind of big macro factors are you watching right now?
Yeah, you've got oil production here in the U.S. down from 13 million barrels a day down to 11 million barrels a day. That's a huge, huge decrease. And you know, the big oil, big energy, what they're doing is they're being really cautious right now. You know, they're practicing restraint from what they have suffered through over the last year with the pandemic. So you've got that here in the U.S. You also have some really disappointing, if you will, news out of China. China import news is their imports on oil are down significantly. And what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing coming out of there is they just don't want to pay the current pricing here. They're more than willing to draw down their reserves rather than importing in at these prices right now. So, you know, you kind of have it coming at you know, both ends of the world, if you will. But again, the whole energy sector has just been a complete flip-flop from where we were last year, from basically demand destruction to now supply constraints.
I want to talk for a minute about natural gas. Seems like prices there are starting to show some signs of life. They're back up to levels not seen since, I guess, February. Of course, this is happening just as the weather heats up for the summer. We've also got the Atlantic hurricane season upon us. What's your outlook for natural gas, Scott?
Yeah, I think we are seeing this comeback here, and after a lull for a while with like you just said, the heating season or you know, hurricanes picking up here. There's lots and lots of demand for it right now. And then what you're also seeing, another I don't want to say byproduct, but you know, something to watch out for is what China is doing with Australia also. And a lot of the commodities coming out of Australia here that you know, they're having this tiff between China and Australia. That's kind of driving prices up as well. So it's coming into, you know, some, I wouldn't say peak season here, but certainly an outlook here that is pushing prices higher over the next couple months.
Scott, I want to talk to you about the Exxon Mobil board situation. Within the last few weeks, big shakeup there. 3 new board activist investors on the board, and this was pushed through by engine number one. They had no history of getting involved in oil and gas companies. It was rubber stamped by BlackRock and also the California State Teachers Pension System. What do you make of this in the future for ESG, especially as it relates to some of these big oil companies?
You know, it's really interesting because with all the green energy initiatives, and obviously we know what the Biden administration, you know, wants to happen here. It's going to be real interesting what happens not only with Exxon but with the rest of big oil here, and how much these new players, these new board members, are really going to be able to take hold and you know, not just voice their opinion, but maybe change. I don't want to say the culture, but change the outlook over the next coming years. When I say coming years, we're obviously talking 5, 10, 15 years down the road, from energy exploration to drilling to absolute output. So this was a big shakeup. This was something that was not expected here. You know, the stock itself probably hasn't moved as much as it may in the future on this, but this is something to definitely watch out for, especially as the Biden administration continues to push green energy.
Where else do you see opportunities with, I mean, the infrastructure bill we know is still trying to make its way through Congress, but what are some other opportunities in the energy space based on what's in that infrastructure spending plan, Scott?
If you're looking at specifics, specific companies, specific sectors, there's actually an ETF out there that is based off infrastructure, and it's combined of, probably the 20 to 30 largest infrastructure companies you can think of, from transportation to all sorts of different companies, and it's called PAVE. And that's something that I would look at. So if someone didn't really want to just isolate a specific company or a specific sector within infrastructure, that's definitely a way to look at it. And I think there's a lot of upside there because we're just getting started on the infrastructure plan. We know that there's going to be negotiations going on for a while. This is not something that that there's going to be any sort of agreement on, I don't think, in 2021. I think this is going to get dragged on probably to the latter half of this administration's term. So this is going to be out there for a while. And I just think there's major upside to that.
All right, Scott Bauer, CEO at Prosper Trading Academy. Always good to see you.